What's up everybody, it's Prashant here. Welcome to my YouTube channel and thank you for joining me in today's video. So today's topic is one that was requested on TikTok by somebody, and honestly it's been a topic that I've been meaning to cover for a while but just did not get a chance before today. So as you know from the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about Cathie Wood's ARK ETFs today. If you don't know, Cathie Wood is an American investor who's been in the finance industry since 1977. In 2014, she started her own company called ARK Invest. And she's been all the rage over the last year and a half, and she's been making bold bets in companies like Tesla, PayPal, Coinbase, and a few others. Let's dive in. Guys, before we continue with this video, I want to say a big thank you to all of you. We finally crossed the 200 subscriber mark, and this makes me extremely happy. So if you did subscribe since the last video, thank you so much. And if you did not, go ahead and smash that subscribe button along with the like button for the YouTube algorithm. This helps me out a lot and motivates me to keep this channel going. Thank you so much, and let's get back to it. So I'm going to be going over 3 ARK ETFs today. I'm going to be throwing up their fact sheets on the screen and going over them with you and comparing them with the S&P 500. Let's go. The first one is the Ark Innovation ETF, ticker symbol ARKK. If we read the stated objective on the fact sheet, we see that the fund is focused on a theme of disruptive innovation and is focused on the long-term growth of capital. This is ARK's biggest ETF by assets under management at over $25 billion. The expense ratio or fee is 0.75%. Now this is much higher than VOO, which is Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF, which is my preferred S&P 500 ETF. But keep in mind that this is an actively managed ETF, which means the managers make decisions as to which stocks to sell or buy at which time very regularly. So keeping in mind that this is an actively managed ETF, the fees are pretty reasonable at 0.75%. Now, if we go to the fund performance chart, we can see right away that the ARK ETF is massively outperforming the S&P 500. Honestly, today was the first time that I've seen the performance of ARK and looked at the fact sheet, and I must say, I'm very impressed. Over the last 5 years, ARK price has gone up 48% annually compared to just 14% of the S&P 500. Incredible. Let us look at the top 10 holdings to the right. Unsurprisingly, we can see that the top holding is Tesla at 10%, followed by Roku, Teladoc, Square, Zooms, Shopify, Twilio, Coinbase, Spotify, and Unity Software. You can clearly see that they are all techie, flashy, stay-at-home type stocks, which have done incredible in the last 2 years or so. In fact, we can see that the ARK fund rose 86% within just the last year. This might be contributing heavily to their average 5-year returns being so high at this point. The only thing I dislike in general, and honestly it's a smaller thing, is that the turnover of ARK is 80%. This means that the fund changes its holdings by 80% on an annual basis. This can be a pretty big problem, especially if you're investing in ARK in a taxable brokerage account. Every time ARK sells some funds and there is a profit realized on it, you are liable to pay taxes on this. This can result in a big tax bill at the end of the year. Not a huge thing, but something to consider if you're investing in ARK, that all of these expenses have to be tacked on top of the 0.75 expense ratio that the fund is charging you already. The second ETF that we're going to be talking about is the ARK Autonomous Technology and Robotics ETF, ticker symbol ARKQ. Reading the fund objective, we see that this fund focuses on investing in companies working in the field of automation in manufacturing, transport, energy, AI, and materials. This fund is much smaller, with assets under management at just over $3 billion. The expense ratio again is 0.75%, same as ARKK. Once again, going to the fund performance graph, you can see right away that ARKQ is outperforming the S&P 500 by quite a bit. Over the last 5 years, ARKQ price has gone up by 36% annually compared to just 14% for the S&P 500. Let's take a look at the top 10 holdings for this fund. Again, we see that Tesla is the biggest holding at 11%, which is not surprising since Cathie Wood has been a very vocal bull for Tesla over the last 2 years. Tesla is followed by JD.com, Kratos Defense, Trimble, Baidu, Alphabet, Iridium, 3D Systems, Unity Software, and UiPath. Again, we should note that ARKQ rose 83% within just the last year, which might be why we're seeing such a high 5-year return. Once again, the turnover at ARKQ is high at 71%. Now, one more time, I will say it shouldn't matter that much. If your gains are so high, who cares if you have to pay 0.75% in fees or if you have to pay capital gains taxes on the gains? The third fund that I'm going to be talking about today is the ARK FinTech Innovation ETF, ticker symbol ARKF. This is a fund that invests in companies working to innovate within the financial sector. This fund is also smaller with assets under management of $4 billion. The expense ratio is again 0.75%, same as the other two. Now going to the fund performance graph, again we can see right away that ARKF is far outperforming the S&P 500. In fact, over the last 1 year, the price of ARKF has gone up by 72% compared to just 40% for the S&P 500. Now, I must put a word of caution though. This is a very new fund, which means we don't have a lot of history with this fund. And since the crash of March 2020, the stock market has done insanely well, which coincides with the life of this fund itself. So we really need some more time for some more data to come out to see how this fund does over the longer term. Let's look at the top 10 holdings for this fund. Square, Shopify, C Limited, PayPal, Zillow, JD.com, Twilio, Coinbase, Mercado Libre, and Pinterest. I actually checked the list of its entire holdings, and yes, Robinhood is part of its holdings. Turnover at ARKF is 55%, which is lower than the other two funds we just discussed. But again, this is a really new fund, and we need to have some more time to analyze how the turnover shifts as more time passes. Alright, now that we've gone over 3 of Cathie Wood's funds, let me give you some general thoughts. Obviously, it looks like Cathie Wood is an awesome fund manager. Her results speak for themselves. In fact, all 3 of the funds that we talked about are far outperforming the S&P 500. At first look, it looks like her funds might be the superior investment. And in fact, they might turn out to be so over the long term too. We just don't have that kind of data yet. Investing in ARK ETFs is clearly a high risk, high reward strategy. High rewards are evident, just look at the results. High risk because each of these ETFs actually invests in a relatively smaller number of companies, about 50. Compare this to the 500 that the S&P 500 index is comprised of. Now, obviously, this is intentional. Cathie Wood is trying to beat the stock market, and she wants to do this by picking stocks that she thinks will outperform the S&P 500 over the long term. And looks like she's doing a pretty good job of it. She has to concentrate her money in a select few companies if she wants to beat the S&P 500, which is exactly what she's doing. So would I invest in one of Cathie Wood's funds? Maybe. I can see myself investing a small portion of my portfolio in one of these ARK ETFs for a chance at higher gains. In general, I'm pretty risk averse when it comes to investing, and I would not feel comfortable putting my entire portfolio in that. I'd use the S&P 500 for the majority of my investments, and I intend to continue to do so. But I can see myself putting a small amount of my money into Cathie Wood's ETFs and see what happens. So that's all I have for you guys in today's video. I apologize for the late upload. There's a lot of things going on in my life and I'm working on something big, which I will be telling you about in a few weeks on this YouTube channel, so stay tuned. Please go ahead and smash the like button and the subscribe button for the YouTube algorithm and click the bell icon to be notified instantly when I post a new video. I post at least one new video every week with great new financial content, and I would love to see you here. Also go ahead and follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Links in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.